Welcome everyone to Top Gear's top 5 electric cars from the Frankfurt Motor Show, and believe me, there are quite a lot to choose from. But we start here on the Mini stand with a Mini, an electric Mini. It doesn't look like an electric Mini, does it? It looks very normal. Mini has obviously taken the stance that customers don't want to be scared off. They want something that looks normal, that doesn't feel like too much of a leap. But this is an electric Mini. In fact, they produced an electric Mini back in 2008. That was a prototype. They used it for gathering information and for testing. And that one didn't have any back seats because that's where this enormous block of batteries had to sit. But we've come quite a long way in 11 years. Technology has developed. The batteries no longer take up the back seats. This is a fully fledged mass production electric car. How can you tell that it's a Mini electric? Well, there are a few little giveaways. The first at the front is no, not that number plate, that's just for the motor show. This grille, so it's blanked off. You don't need the cooling you do in a combustion engine car, so that's blanked off, and you get these signature yellow stripes and the electric badge. This yellow colour is what Mini like to denote their electric models with. You can have the stripes or you can not, it's up to you, they're optional. This is a Cooper S bonnet, so on a Cooper S this is an air intake for the engine, but here it's just blanked off, it's just for show. It's just to show you that this car has the performance equivalent to a Cooper S. Very handy. Come around the sides, more giveaways here, namely these optional wheels. 17 inch I think, 17 inch Corona wheels, asymmetrical, look a little bit like a 3-pin plug, whether that's intentional or not, I don't know. And you've got these blanked off panels between the spokes because that helps with aerodynamics, helps extend your battery range. More yellow elements here in the indicators, on the wing mirrors. It's a 3-door only. That's your charging port in there. And that's about it. The interior is pretty standard Mini as well. You get a new kind of floating digital instrument cluster behind the wheel. They're going to roll that across the whole Mini family eventually, but the Mini Electric gets it first. It's very normal. This isn't going to scare people off or have them running for the hills because it's just another Mini that happens to run on electricity. In terms of performance, well, 181 horsepower. It'll do 144 miles on a charge and it will do 0 to 60 in about 7.5 seconds. So as I said, Cooper S levels of performance. But the big story with this car is price, because Mini is pricing it very aggressively despite being a premium company. So it starts from £24,400 once you've taken off the government's £3,500 grant, which is quite a lot less than the Honda E. It's less than the E208, the Peugeot. Yeah, quite a good deal that. A bargain, which I didn't think I'd say about a Mini. But this car is going to be the story of the show, I feel. The fact that electric cars are going mass production. They're entering the mainstream. They don't look scary and jazzy and sci-fi anymore. They're just cars. Ah yes, it's the Porsche Taycan. You might have heard of it. It was revealed last week and the internet's been a little bit on fire ever since. Now, we have done a full in-detail walk around of this car, absolutely everything you need to know. So you can go and watch that video separately on topgear.com or on Top Gear's YouTube channel. So I'm not going to go back into all the same details, but because there's been such a response to this car online, I thought there were two things that I wanted to talk about. The first is the fact that the Taycan configurator has now gone live. The car we had in the studio in a shed somewhere in Germany last week, well, it was in a rather dreary navy blue paint with black wheels. It's kind of a Q car spec. This is the one you want. They're calling this the Mission E pack for obvious reasons because it relates to the Mission E concept. White car, these white wheels, 21s. This is the Turbo S model, so you get the 21s, and you'll see that rim around the edge of the wheel there. So you can have that in body colour, but you don't have to have white. You can have green or red or blue or all sorts of colours. If you haven't been on the configurator, go on it right now. You'll waste at least a couple of hours. You can even have these amazing fan wheels. You can have them in silver, black, sort of goldy champagne colour. Lots and lots of fun. And the second bit is this whole Tesla Model S P100D comparison with the Turbo S model. Okay, let's get this out of the way. The specs for the Tesla are better. It's faster 0 to 60, it has a longer range, and it costs less money. But specs, guys and girls, are just a tiny part of the story. What Porsche has been trying to ram down our throats is the fact that the performance of this car, while not quite as sharp as a Model S in a straight line, well, it's more repeatable and it will be much faster than the Tesla around a track. I'm not saying one car is better than the other, I'm just saying each has different strengths and different weaknesses, and we need to recognise that. Do you know what? It's even okay to like both. Imagine that. So the other thing that's got the internet quite angry is the turbo badge on the back of the Taycan. Now, don't get me wrong, I think it's as bad an idea as anyone else. It seems quite lazy in a way, doesn't it? But as many commenters on the internet pointed out, there are other things in the world with the name turbo that don't have a turbocharger. A Gillette Mach 3 Turbo, for example, was one I particularly liked. Now, I don't know, maybe I just let water brush off me more than most, but do you know what? That's what it's called. We're gonna get used to it. Let it go, people, let it go. And in the spirit of having a bit of fun, come over here, because there's something quite interesting that Porsche have put on their stand. A little bit of fun. Come on, let's have a look. So for everyone wondering, how fast is the Taycan really? Well, Porsche has set up this highly scientific demonstration here. Basically, you've got this rotating dial here, so I can choose what we race against. 918 Spider, Cheetah, Formula One car. What have we got here? A jet aircraft, or my personal favourite, the Saturn V rocket from the Apollo 11 moon landings. I think we'll go against that because, you know, you don't want to make it easy for the Porsche. I've got a feeling that it's going to win all of these because, well, why wouldn't Porsche rig it? Right, let's give this a go. Oh, look at that. They've even rigged the rocket up horizontally. What's the car? Ah. Walk in the park. So there you have it, the Porsche Taycan, faster than a Saturn V rocket. Okay, so we couldn't do a top 5 EVs without mentioning the VW ID.3, could we? Now, like the Taycan, we've done a full walk-around video of this car in a studio a couple of weeks ago, so all the details you need are in that video. It's on topgear.com, it's on our YouTube channel. Go and watch it after you finish watching this. But I thought it was worth revisiting this car because if you're in any doubt about how important this is to Volkswagen and its future, well, you only need to look at its stand. There's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15 ID.3s dotted around the stand. Down there, you've got a lineup of every ID concept they've ever revealed. There isn't a single combustion engine car on the entire Volkswagen stand. It is ID land today. All right, so just a quick recap on the ID.3 specs. You can get 2 power outputs, 148 horsepower and 201 horsepower, I think, and then 3 sizes of battery. The first one gives you 205 miles of range, the second one 260, and the third one 341 miles of range. Now, last night I was having dinner with the bloke who runs Vauxhall in the UK, the guy who's just launching the Corsa E at this event with just over 200 miles of range. And when I showed him the ID.3 could do 341 miles in its biggest battery configuration, he almost choked on his salad. It is quite astonishing numbers to be right up there with the Tesla Model S's of this world. The other thing I can talk about now is because the ID.3 was actually revealed yesterday evening, we've had loads of feedback on our video, on social media, everyone's talking about this car. And the two big things that seem to be coming through is one, the interior quality doesn't look up to scratch. I can assure you it is. And the second one is that the design is a little bit bland. I see where you're coming from. This is a car that's trying to give you the minimum amount of reasons not to go electric. It's not taking risks. It wants to look normal. It wants to fit into your life. It needs to be spacious. It doesn't want to be shocking. But that's exactly what the Golf always was. It was a car that wasn't adventurous, but it just worked. It wasn't pretty, but it wasn't ugly either. It didn't make any statement about your lifestyle. The ID.3 is doing the exact same thing for electric cars. If you ask me, it's very clever indeed. This is the Hyundai 45 Concept, a car that previews all future electric cars from Hyundai, I'm told. And if you're getting a bit of a retro vibe, well, you're not wrong, because this thing is a homage to the Pony Coupe concept from 1974, which is also why it's called 45. That was 45 years ago. And also because they thought they'd cram in another meaning to the name there. There's plenty of 45-degree angles. Look at that. That's 45 degrees, isn't it? It's a lovely angle regardless. It's a good looking thing, isn't it? What is it? A hatchback? A fastback? A kind of 5-door coupe raised up? I mean, it's on absolutely enormous wheels. Absolutely mesmerizing design. I think you're going to get other road users driving next to you falling asleep when they stare into those. Down here you've got an LED light indicator. What this does is tells you how much battery you got, how much range you got without actually having to get into the car. So you could be peering out of the kitchen window, doing the dishes, thinking, yep, I've got enough to get to the shops. These cameras for wing mirrors, nothing new on future concepts and even production cars these days. These ones are quite clever though. They pop out and then they pop back in, and when they pop back in, a little brush cleans the lenses, so any road grime or dirt or anything else is wiped off there. This is also a vision of its autonomous future. So Hyundai has made the front seats rotate. So you put it on autonomous mode, spin round, and you can have a little chin wag with the people in the back. In the front, super minimalist. So just a big screen behind the wheel, as per the norm in concept cars these days. The passenger gets a projected display in front of them on a little shelf for some reason. Anyway, that's what it's all about. It's a really well put together thing, this. A really, really gorgeous piece of concept car design. Do you remember when Hyundais used to be a bit crap? Yeah, seems like a distant memory, doesn't it? What you're looking at here is the Mercedes Vision EQS. It's basically the next generation S-Class masquerading as an electric car, but it's also proof that Mercedes are going to make a full electric saloon, a big, large luxury saloon. And it's quite a striking thing, isn't it? Absolutely perfectly rounded, not a crease on it anywhere. Just a word on that EQ badge. EQ, that's the Mercedes electric family. So you can already buy an EQC. There's an EQV electric van over there. We've seen an EQA electric concept. This is the S. You're starting to see how it works. And the first thing I'll mention is this silhouette. Because it's electric, because you don't have an engine under there, those wheels are pushed right out to the edges, massively long wheelbase, because that's where your battery goes, and you get what they call a one bow design, which is basically this stubby bonnet flowing right into the roofline, flowing right down into the tail. You can basically draw the silhouette of this car with one sweep of the pen. Well, you could if you were any good at drawing anyway. Now, they've done some really clever things with the lighting on this car, and none more so than the headlights up here. So these are holographic headlights. You'll see in there they're mimicking the lenses on real headlights. Don't quite see the point of it, but it looks very cool indeed. This grille, well, it's not a grille at all, is it? Because it's an electric car, you don't need the cooling. So it's completely flat and just full of blue LEDs. Then you've got this blue line that divides the entire car. It runs right across the front, all the way along the side, creating this kind of piano black floating roof area on top, and then this silver area at the bottom, and it runs right around the back, which is where you find tail lights made up of 229 individual Mercedes red stars. And I know that because I counted them myself. Promise. The interior, that's quite jazzy as well. The idea here is it's inspired by luxury yachts. So you've got this huge high center console, screens are everywhere, envelops the driver and the passenger. There's a rails running down the side of the car, which are screens as well as armrests. It's a very, very beautiful thing. You want to know some numbers, don't you? Electric car, as I said, 100 kilowatt hour battery slung between the wheels, a motor on each axle, so it's 4-wheel drive, 470 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds, and get this, it will do about 430 miles on a charge from a battery that's the same size as a Tesla P100D. So they've obviously got some tricks up their sleeve to make that work. It's also level 3 autonomy. That's not the full house, take your hands off the wheel. That's just a bit of help on the motorway. But the thing is, all this technology exists, doesn't it? Electric motors, batteries, basic autonomy. This car isn't that far off. This is the new S-Class, and it makes sense, doesn't it, for it to be electric, silent, smooth, fast. But this is the future. I'm happy.